shit.
Yeah, I will.
All right.
Randy was already in the chat.
I know. See if we pop up right here.
He said, "Hey, my love." I'm gonna tell him, "Hey, how you doing, baby?"
Well, we live right now. What is up, everybody, on Out of Bounds? We're going to try this again. We had a little miscue with the stream. This is a Week 10, recap show with your host, Toddfox, and the other host of the show.
Carlos.
Carlos Skullzone is in the house. Let's just get into it right away. What were our records leading up to this week?
Last week, Randy, he had a good record of 51 wins, 21 losses. This week, he comes in 57 wins, 29 losses. Last week, 83 and 53, one tie for you. Now you're at 88 wins, 62 losses, and one tie. Last week, I was 73, 63, and 1. Now I'm 82, 68, and 1.
All right, and what are our records from last week?
Last week, last week I was 73 wins, 63 losses, and one tie.
Oh,
Are you talking about the way
what do we do for Week 10?
Gotcha. Sorry about that. I had a brain fart. I'll have a couple of those throughout each episode. Sorry about that. A little bit more blonde. Let me see. I went 10-5. That was my record for last week. And then you went 5 and what was your record time?
5 and 9.
5 and 9. And
Worst
then
week.
Randy. Yeah, worst week. And then Randy's, I didn't write his down. Well, I should have it right here. He went 6 and 8.
Yeah, he got a win with a woke at the end of the week too.
Well, you want to talk about a good team, man. That team is on the uprise right there.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into all these games, talk about them individually, give our super takes on these. So let's get started, shall we? The first game was Thursday. The Carolina Panthers took on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this game was supposed to be a wash. I think we all went with Atlanta, with the exception of who went with Carolina?
Guess who?
It was you and
me and Walter.
Yeah, Walter went with Carolina.
What's up, Mug? I see you in the building. Carlos, loud and clear this week. Nice. Hey, that's because I've been working out, baby.
There you go. He's showing off for his lady. Marcus Mariota went 19 of 30, 186 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, but he was sacked 5 times. He was also their leading rusher, so that's never a good sign unless you're Lamar Jackson. Demir Beard led the team with 3 catches, 58 yards. P.J. Walker started for the Carolina Panthers and did just enough, as, again, they're not allowing him to throw more than 20 times either. He's 10 of 16, 108 yards. Deontay Foreman rushed 31 times for 130 yards. That was your key right there, keeping the Atlanta Falcons offense off the field, forcing them to throw. Terrence Marshall Jr. was the only one that had a catch of any relevance, 1 for 43. Other than that, the Falcons win a back-and-forth rainy, rainy, kind of boring game, but Carolina gets the upset, and they go to 3-7, which is only 2 games out of first place. The Atlanta falls a game behind Tampa Bay to 4-6. Thoughts on this game?
This one was kind of easy for me to predict last week, especially with how they played in Atlanta the first game. If you remember, Eddie Pinheiro missed that game-winning kick in overtime against the Falcons. And I figured that the trend was going to continue. Atlanta was lucky that they won that first one, but now that's why it's a divisional thing. You'll see them down the road, and luckily they saw them, I want to say 2 weeks later, and they made up for that game, and they made up for it in a big way. They got them at home, and Cordero Patterson was a non-factor. Everybody on fantasy football was upset about that, including myself. And Cordero Patterson even tweeted out about the game. He's like, wow, all my fantasy owners must be mad at me right now. But he was trolling at that point, I feel like. I see Purple's in the building. Purple Podcast. Everybody go there, subscribe to the man. The man has just hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Very humble, a little bit of hood. Got a little mentality that he brings to the table. Go over there and give his channel some love.
Absolutely, we'll check that out. Also, what's up, Each Monkey and You Rage Quit Loser? That one right there. So, happy to say hi to everybody. Also, Randy in the house. No Walter today, so we'll go with that right now.
Make sure you guys hit that thumb, hit that like, and that subscribe, please. Please.
Absolutely. That does help out, as you all know, with the algorithms. So with that being said, Carolina wins an ugly game. Atlanta loses the one they should have won, and you called it. The division games are most unpredictable, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's where like the worst of the worst teams beat the best of the best teams in those divisional games. You always see it happen. You always see it happen with the Patriots or with hell, even with the Eagles. Look what happened with the Eagles. They lost to the 4th team in the NFC East.
Yeah, and I actually went with the woke on that one. That was my upset special. Well, here, the next game, look, I'm going to go with this one. The next two games, we're going to be hovering over these for a few minutes here because it's me and Carlos's team. First, mine went first, which was a Sunday game where I got my ass up at 6 a.m., and it seemed like I was struggling to stay awake. Not stay awake, but struggling to get up, drink that coffee at 6 a.m. over here on the West Coast to watch my Seahawks. And it seemed like the Seahawks offense was doing the same shit. They did not play anywhere close to a half. They did something they did earlier in the year, which was not show up for a half or two, and that cost them. If they show up at all in the first half and play any kind of offense, they win that game outright. They allowed a miscommunication on defense to allow the first touchdown for Tampa Bay, and then the defense was put out there way too long for a way too young team. And then they were beaten down later on by the rush game. But this game, Seattle, credit to them. One more stop I think Geno would have pulled the upset and pulled the comeback. But the defense was worn out, and they had no one to blame but himself on that one. The play calling was atrocious in the first half. Let's get to the stats. Geno Smith, 23 of 33, 275. You can't knock that. 2 touchdowns, no picks. But here's what pissed me off. He took 3 sacks. And when I mean he took 3 sacks is he could have avoided all 3 sacks, especially the one where he took it and he knew he was going to get hit and he still fumbled. He saw the hit coming from both sides and still fumbled. That was in the red zone. That really cost the Seahawks the game because then Tampa went down and got a score. But if the Seattle scored right there, it would have been a 1-score game. But that's just me being pissed off. The running game was absolutely non-existent. 4 for 22 by Geno Smith, and I had a feeling Tampa Bay, you were going to have to throw on them because Tampa Bay's defense is number 1 against the run, and Kenneth Walker, who everyone's picking to be possibly the Rookie of the Year, or at least Offensive Rookie of the Year, he rushed 10 times for 17 yards. So kudos to Tampa Bay's defense. DK Metcalf, 6 for 71 through the air. Tyler Lockett was a disappointing 3 for 42. Tom Brady did Tom Brady things, 22 of 29, 258, 2 touchdowns and a pick. It was hilarious to see him get or at least Fournette throw that pass and get intercepted by Woolen because Tom Brady running a pass at 45, that's insane to me. But again, Rashad White, along with Leonard Fournette, rushed for almost 160 yards, 22 for 105 for Rashad White. And Chris Godwin had that touchdown on the blown coverage, 6 for 71. Tampa holds out, and it was disappointing too. Last thing I'll say on this, Seattle had that crowd. That was mostly a Seahawks crowd. It would have been nice to get that first victory in Munich, the first NFL team to do it and be the Seahawks, but Tampa Bay held out and won 21-16.
To me, that game kind of looked like it was like Seattle wasn't really mentally into it. Like they weren't really into it, man. Like that's the only thing I can say about it. They didn't wake up until it was a little too late, Tampa Bay had everything going from the get-go. You seen Julio Jones even getting into the end zone. You seen Tom Brady connecting with everybody. So it looked like Tampa Bay kind of woke up. This might actually change their season around, so that way they can go in a winning direction. And their record is 5-5 now, isn't it? Tampa Bay's
gotten back to 5-5. Yes.
Yeah, so it looks like things are starting to click at the right time, and they always say that you play your best football starting in November and going into December and getting hot right in time for the playoffs. So that might be a team that actually gets it going at the right time. Fingers crossed, so that way it shakes everything up in the NFC, and then like that they'll be they'll be the number 3 or number 4 seed, depending on how Seattle and San Francisco finish the season. But if they're the number 3 seed, they could quite possibly host the NFC Championship game. How about that? If Minnesota and Philadelphia get knocked out in the second round, how about that? If that would Tampa Bay, if they win the wild card game, they would go to the number 2 seed, and they'd go in with a lot of momentum because they'd win the division and it'd be Tom Brady in the playoffs. Forget about it, bro. It'd be something that nobody wants to see. But as far as the game goes, like you said, Kenneth Walker was a non-factor, and Kenneth Walker has to be the main feature. You can't rely on Geno Smith. Geno Smith like he was a backup for the most of the game, but then he turned it on at the end of the game, and he actually started looking like a starter, a player that he was the starting quarterback caliber that he's been all season long. So that's what you're going to get out of Geno Smith from time to time.
Yeah, he made some excellent throws in this game. I ain't going to knock him for that. I just think that he does that. You have to expect, as a Seahawks fan, that he's going to take a couple real stupid sacks. like he did one early in the second half where they had a really good drive going, and he took like a 13-yard sack. And he didn't do a Russell Wilson, I'm running around for my life like a schoolyard play, but he went back and he saw the rush coming, and instead of just throwing the ball away, he just stood there and like a deer in headlights and got hit real hard. And it's like, dude, you gotta know to get rid of the ball, dude. Even on a third down, like against that Tampa inside the 20, that was your first time inside the 20, looking to pull it within 4 points, and you take a sack and fumble it right to a defender. It's not like I could see if you were blindsided or something, but he stood there and saw it coming. He even held cradled himself before he got hit, and he still fumbled. So that's the part that will drive you crazy. I love to give this guy kudos because obviously he came out of nowhere, and we're only 6-4 because of him. But there's plays like that still, like, as much as he's grown as an NFL player, he's still not perfected the art of throwing the ball away, taking the proper sack when the time is needed, and things like that. So at least he's not throwing interceptions. He's having a stellar year. Like I said, that second half, I think if Seattle gets that one last stop, I think Seattle wins that game. I think Geno makes a play or two to win that game at the end, but tough loss, man. I really was hoping they'd go 7-3. I know I'm like, again, if 6-4 is not bad, because I thought they were going to win 6 all year. So the fact that they're 6-4 right now is cool, but the fact that we're realizing this team is probably better than we thought, the Niners getting that win, shit, they're only a half game back. So that's our main competition. But enough about my Hawks.
Did you see what Randy just commented?
No, what did he say?
He said, I think Zach Wilson will make those mistakes from time to time. Even as a 10-year vet, it's just wired in them. You can coach it out of them. You can coach it out for the majority, but it still sticks. 10-7, I called it, brother.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'll take 10-7 because 10-7 probably makes the postseason. So.
Definitely.
The only thing about that is, like, when you're winning and you're over 500 and you're happy, I mean, you don't want to be obviously 500 because you get shitty drafts. So, I mean, like, we'll take this. We want to be back in the postseason. We weren't there last year. But then again, we got 4 draft picks coming in. It would have been nice to pick some really good picks. But the thing is, man, I mean, Denver could possibly finish sucky to get there so we can get their picks. And then also, like, I'm confident Schneider will make the right call as far as draft picks. If you saw this last past draft, he did an excellent job. So I'm not worried.
Do you think 10-7 is good enough to win the division though?
No.
The NFC West?
No, I don't think so.
You think the Niners are going to have like 11 wins, 12 wins?
I think at least they're going to have 11 because I think they're about poised to go on a run here.
That's going to be scary. If the Buccaneers and the 49ers wake up out of nowhere and they start getting on this massive win streak, it's going to be ugly for the rest of the NFC.
It's going to scare the AFC too. So, but let's talk about the team that's right now the cream of the crop. I called this team as cream of the crop before the Eagles lost to the Commanders. Wait, what did I just say? To the woke. I'm sorry. Look, the Vikings are good. I mean, like, look, you could look at the Niners roster and say they have stars. But they have holes too. On the offensive line, if Kittle's not on the line, they don't have a good offensive line. To me, I think the Vikings have the most complete team. They look real. I mean, this is the best Viking team, arguably, since the Randall Cunningham days. This team is really, really built pretty good. And for once, Kirk Cousins looks like an NFL quarterback, complete. 30 of 50, 357 in this game, a touchdown, 2 picks. I'm going to let you narrate what happened in this game because this game was by far the best game of the year so far. Dalvin Cook, 14 for 119. Justin Jefferson, I mean, what can you say? Justin Jefferson, they triple-teamed him at one point, and he still made a catch, 10 for 193 yards when they knew the ball was going to him. Josh Allen, 29 of 43, 330, a touchdown, 2 picks. Josh Allen was your leading rusher. That's problematic. 6 for 84. And Stephon Diggs, 12 for 128, former Viking right there. Thought he had the get back at his former team. So what happened in this game, man? I heard this was a good game.
Man, I don't want to miss anything on this game, but there's just too much to go over this game. You know, I could sit here for like God knows how long and just ramble on and on about the Vikings and the Bills game. But I'm gonna try and pinpoint all the like everything that stood out in that game. when the Vikings did the quarterback sneak, it's been pointed out that the Buffalo Bills got away with one. It was a 12 men on the field. I don't know if you've seen that one. The Buffalo Bills had 12 men on the field against us when we were trying to quarterback sneak it in, so we didn't get on that. Referees missed that one completely, and how many referees are on the field. And then the Gabe Davis catch that hit the floor, but really they were in no huddle mode, so we didn't get a chance to challenge that. Mm-hmm. And also the missed field goal by Greg Joseph was big too. It was massive. Who knows, if you would have made it, we might have actually lost, or we could have won by the extra point. But it was just like, dude, throughout that whole, here I go, man. Here I go. I'm probably gonna miss a whole bunch, but just bear with me. My emotions are about to start coming out. That whole entire game, look, we started off, that was something about that game, dude. Last week I said that was my favorite game of the whole entire, like, this whole entire Viking season. Last week was my favorite game of the whole entire season because of that, the way it played out. We got down, we looked good, then we got down, and then we took the lead when it most mattered, like at the very end. Same thing happened in this game with the Buffalo Bills, but dude, it happened against the supposed MVP of the NFL, right? Josh Allen. And it happened against everybody's super odds-on favorite Super Bowl champs, right there, team that was going to make it to the Super Bowl. It happened against Stephon Diggs, the former Diva wide receiver. You know it's hurting his ego that he didn't come away with that win. You know it's hurting his ego when, did you see that one-handed catch that he did when he was out in the open? Oh, I don't know if you that one. But it hurts him that Justin Jefferson outdid him. And Justin Jefferson with that one catch outdid anything that Jerry Rice ever did on one play. I will say that. And Odell Beckham Jr. has been compared, like the play that Justin Jefferson did with that one-handed catch on 4th and 18. Was a million times better than Odell Beckham Jr.'s catch, but frankly, because Odell Beckham, that was on 3rd down right there. I think it was like on 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 7, and he caught that one-handed, but the defender didn't have both of his hands. You know, you seen the play. Everybody's seen the play. Justin Jefferson, the way it just played out was just beautiful. And once that catch happened, bro, I knew that the Vikings were going to win, but throughout that whole entire game, like after we scored that touchdown, that first touchdown, I just started realizing that, like, it was just a downhill from there. And I went back into my Viking cave. I don't know if you see my video that I posted, but I went into my Viking cave and I was like, man, here we go again. Kirk Cousins threw those 2 bad interceptions. That first one was terrible, where it sailed on him, and then he threw it to his blind side when the defense was right there, and it was almost a pick 6. But you know, it was just like when I realized, I'm pretty sure I'm speaking for all Viking fans right here, it was a heart attack waiting to happen. But when I realized that the Vikings were going to win it, it was before that catch with Justin Jefferson. Normally, stuff like that plays out for the Vikings, you see that in the playoffs. You see lucky plays. You see like a fumble in the end zone that happened to Josh Allen. Like, you see that's the stuff that's almost like the wide receiver for the New York Giants, that one-handed catch with the helmet. What was his name? David Tyree, is that his name? Mm-hmm. That's almost like that. What's happening in the Minnesota Vikings this year, you're seeing playoff lucky moments in every single game, bro. It's happening more and more every single game. And I'm just like, and then when they start showing the team on the sideline, regardless if it's offense or defense, you see them with the same look. They're just sitting there and they're waiting for their turn, bro. Like, it's next man up. It's a team that's built with nothing but confidence. I don't know what Kevin O'Connell's doing behind the scenes, and the Kwesi Adolfo-Menzo, the GM. I don't know what they're doing, bro, but man, Kirk Cousins has never looked as good, and they keep talking about how his stats are down, but his win ratio is way up. So go figure on that one. Dalvin Cook, he's having a worst season in his career, but he's having a really good season. It doesn't add up. No Viking fan can explain it, bro. We're just sitting here with the ride along with everybody else. It's just a thing of beauty, bro. The thing that means the most is that the storylines, the one that's good, again, unnoticed too, the one that's not getting no shine is James Cook, the younger brother of Dalvin Cook. They were also in the heads up one-on-one. And then Leslie Frazier, the defensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. He used to be the head coach for the Minnesota Vikings. Stephon Diggs obviously played for the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson came from that trade in the first-round pick from the Buffalo Bills. So that game it was playoff atmosphere, bro. I could watch that game a million times in one, bro. Like, man, I can't wait to see what they do with the Dallas Cowboys next week.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting what happens there. I think the Cowboys are going to get a lot of shine, although they're coming off a loss to that. They bragged for 3 weeks about the Packers-Cowboys rivalry, and then everyone thought, okay, the Cowboys were just going to, slam the Packers, and then the Packers came out there and beat them. But we'll get to that. But the Vikings, though, I mean, talking about what happened in this game and how they showed up and were able to do what they were, what they were able to do and come back in New Jersey. That's a crazy place to play. The fact that they were able to make the plays, like you said, Kirk Cousins doesn't need to throw 4 touchdowns to win the game. He just needs to make the throws and to manage the game, and he's been doing that. And the offense has been responding. And
go ahead,
man.
Man, I know I just cut you off, man, but I can't hold it in, bro. Like this, there's just something special about this team, man. Like, dude, I've never seen the Minnesota Vikings, like, since I've been watching this team, bro. I've never seen this team like gelled like this, man. I've never seen this team celebrating in the locker room. I've never seen a quarterback like Kirk Cousins put it like shirtless with his chains on. I've never seen nothing like that. Like the confidence that this team is building, bro, is just a thing of freaking beauty. And those playoff moments are going to keep coming, I feel, man. I feel like this team is I hate to say it, bro, and I don't want to jinx it, but I'm going to say it, bro. I feel like this team is going to make it to the Super Bowl, bro. Like, I'm willing to – I'm sold on this team. I'm 100% sold. A dome team going into Buffalo, snowy conditions, windy conditions, missed the extra point, and we still won, man. Oh, man, I got to shut up, bro. I got to shut up.
No, it's okay. I mean, you're being a fan, dude. I mean, if you're a Lions fan and you're saying, okay, we're going to the Super Bowl, then I'd be like, okay, check your head. But you may have CTE. But right now, I mean, like, look, it's not crazy to say the Vikings can make the Super Bowl, just like the Bills, the Chiefs. There's Super Bowl contending teams that you have to take a look at and say, okay, they're favored. And the Vikings are doing just all the right things right now. Chemistry sometimes is really ignored as far as a casual fan is concerned. They don't take it seriously. And chemistry, if you have it, if you have a certain way of celebrating, guys want to be in that celebration. They want to wear the gold chain. They want to be able to do a Justin Jefferson dance. If you have chemistry, it works. And whatever they're doing, like you said, it's a different Vikings team. And they're making it fun out there. And it's going to put doubt into the opponent, because if you get a team down like the Vikings and they come back routinely like they have been, you might get in your own way and be like, shit, dude, we only got a 10-point lead with 8 minutes to go. You know, there's too much time left. And then you start screwing up your own mojo. So that can happen too. I mean, that can affect the other team's chemistry.
And I'm gonna say a few things too, man. Last year, the Vikings, it's crazy because I thought about it earlier today when I was at work. The same exact team sprinkled in with a few draft picks and a few free agents, right? Basically, like 98% the same team, just different coach, different GM, bro. And this team looks it looks like it's a whole entire 180. These are the type of games we were getting into last year. The only reason they weren't getting talked about is because the Vikings were losing every single one of them. Now you flip that whole entire season around, and this is what you get when we're winning, bro, and we're still getting ignored by the media, bro. ESPN is putting us as a third-ranked team. I don't know if you've seen the ESPN rankings. They got the Eagles at number 2, and then they got the Chiefs at number 1. But that's all right because the Vikings beat Washington. They beat Washington, and Washington just in Washington, and then Washington just went into Philly and beat Philly, put the first L on them. But we beat the Commanders, and then the Buffalo Bills went into Kansas City, beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and we just went into Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills, who beat the Chiefs. How are we the third-ranked team? I don't understand that. The Eagles are talking about because they beat us in week 2. We didn't have T.J. Hawkinson. Irv Smith dropped that wide-open touchdown. If you remember, I think it was in the second quarter. T.J. Hawkinson doesn't drop that, and he's off for the races for a touchdown. Whole new ball game. Can't wait to get him in the playoffs.
Well, just all you had to do is think about ESPN. I mean, they came a couple plays away from being totally wrong against the 49ers when they had 9 of their analysts all pick the 49ers in a clean sweep to beat the Chargers, and the Chargers pissed that game away. I mean, they almost pulled the upset, and if they did, that would have made them look stupid. It wouldn't have been the first time where they pick all one team, give credit to one and all the shine, and then the other team wins. So I don't take anything that ESPN says. They haven't been trying to be a sports network for a while. So, yeah. You know, I really don't give them any clout. But if you got anything else left on the Vikings, man, we'll touch on them at the end of this one, end of this episode, and who's, you know, where they're at in the standings and all that.
No, we can move on to the next one because we're going to do predictions after this one.
All right, so then Detroit against the Bears, and the Bears blow a game. When's the last time Detroit has scored 21 points in a quarter, let alone the fourth quarter? They had a magical comeback in this one, despite Justin Fields' game. Jared Goff was 19 of 26, 236 and a touchdown. Jamal Williams was 16 carries for 59 yards. Amon St. Brown, 10 catches for 119 yards. He's fresh off the injured list, playing good.
Dude, hold on, I didn't really cut you off. But look, I see Monkey commenting with facts, but dude, this one's worth cutting you off. Look at the comment that Randy just posted.
What do you put?
Look, read it. I'm going to let you read it.
Let's see. Randy Yaz, aka Yanzi, extra stupid personality networks. That's true.
I would hit a million thumbs up on that one if I could.
Oh, I wish we could, dude. That's probably the comment of the day right there. Justin Fields, 12 of 20, 167 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. He also rushed for 147 yards. This guy's going to get well over 1,000 yards rushing as a quarterback. And then Cole Nemeth, or whatever his name is. These receivers, dude, I swear to God, are hilarious. Chase Claypool, I guess, wasn't integrated into the system enough to make a difference. He had 1 catch for 8 yards. But, boy, the Bears have continued to have a shitty receiving core year after year after year. The Bears lose this game 31-30, and I know that you said the other day, and I'm not throwing you under the bus, but you said this is the type of team that could get back to 500 and make a little run and have a little shine for next year. But what do you think about them taking a loss to the shitty-ass Detroit Lions?
It's just that type of season. I think nobody's really expecting the Bears to go all the way or make a deep playoff run. I think what's going on over there in Chicago, look, I hate the Bears personally. I hate everything that they stand for. That's the one team in the division, believe it or not, that I hate more than the Green Bay Packers. It's just something about their logo, their stadium, their colors on their jersey. I can't stand them. I can't, like, I got to get away from that. So I'm taking that out of my brain right now, and I'm replacing it with just a regular NFL fan. So you're going to get some good insights right now. I think that what's going on over there in Chicago is good for them. I think that they got it with the quarterback and the right coach. They finally got it, and hopefully they stick with it. Because if they can't keep switching coach to coach to coach and then quarterbacks quick. Otherwise, they're just going to be what you always said that they are. They're always going to be the same old. Have a above average at best quarterback, and then they're always going to rely on the running back, and then they're always going to have a strong defense. But outside of that, that's what the Bears' history is. So hopefully they can get Justin Fields some more help. They already got Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney, and Cole Kmet. I want to say his last name is, but Cole, his first name for sure. Hopefully they can beef up that offensive line and get a nice little running back like Kareem Hunt back there to pair him up with Montgomery. I want to say is the running back there.
Yes.
And then the defense is always going to be clutch. Their defense is always good. They feed off of their offense. But yeah, Detroit, I thought Detroit was going to win that one when I was looking at the scores. But, it doesn't shock me because it's divisional. I know that's kind of a cliche thing to say right there, but it's the truth, brother. Like, you see these teams so often where, look, Detroit, they just beat Green Bay, and now they beat Chicago, 2 teams that were ahead of them in the standings. Now, I'm not sure what Detroit's record is. I think they got like 4 wins, don't they? Or they got 3 wins?
That's barely the 3rd win, yeah.
Their 3rd wins, but they're catching fire. They beat the Green Bay Packers, and then they beat the Chicago Bears. And they were close to beating us. That would be 3 divisional wins right there. That would spark a fire up in their butt. But yeah, man, pretty good game. I didn't really watch much of any of it. I just kept up with the fantasy football numbers. But the Bears look like they're on the right path. Detroit, they're giving us everything that they have before they tear the house down and they start rebuilding again. Because it sounds like Dan Campbell's going to be he's on the hot seat. He's probably going to get let go at the end of the season, which is crazy. He just got the job last year, I want to say.
Yep. Well, I mean, I think to save his job, he needs to win 6 games at least 6 wins. Otherwise, and then next year you have to, there's the most pressure on him. He'll be on the hot seat for sure.
Hey, Randy wants to know where I live and what is Ohio considered? What did you say like 10 years ago? Ohio's considered what of the United States?
The butthole of the United States.
I live in the butthole of the United States, Randy. I live in Toledo, Ohio. I live just south of the Michigan-Ohio borderline. Literally, I'm like 15 minutes away from the Michigan line.
You're not that far from the area that you see on TikTok where it shows like areas that used to have homes in it in like 10 years ago, and then it's all abandoned.
That's there's a few of those houses on the street that I live on. There's a few of those houses. They're tearing them down slowly but surely, but there's still a lot of them.
Yeah, and they're decaying. It's a bad look either way. It sucks for the neighborhood because it's a bad look for the home decaying and falling apart on itself because it could be used for drugs and prostitution. Yeah. And then also when you level it, it's just an open space and it looks bad. So.
Yeah. Or what's the smart people that have some okay money do is what they normally do is they put a fence around it and they buy the property and they extend their yard, which is something I would want to do.
That's pretty smart. I mean, it's just people are gonna have big ass yards.
Yeah, you should see it. I should take a picture of it and send it to you next time I drive by one. There's a lot of them out here. There's a lot of houses like that, like a massive yard with a little house.
You should show. I want to see that because that'd be hilarious. They probably have a trampoline back there and all kinds of shit.
But I tell you what, it's like country yards in the middle of the city. I'm serious, man.
That's sad though, because the population usually is booming around the U.S. as far as more people coming there, but there's cities like yours and a few others that's dwindling.
Oh man, it's bad out here.
Yeah, but enough about that. Let's get back into this real quick. I'm not too much to say on this game, but I will say this: the next 2 out of 3 games we're going to profile. The losing team actually gets some credit as far as getting a good loss, and I'll explain that in a second. Kansas City Chiefs go to 7-2. The Jaguars fall to 3-7. Trevor Lawrence goes 29 of 42 to 59, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Itane 11 for 45. That was crucial right there. He did not have a good ground game. Christian Kirk 9 for 105. Zay Jones 8 for 68 through the air. Patrick Mahomes has to do stuff that Kirk Cousins doesn't have to do. Kirk Cousins can be, like I said, game manager, make the right throws, but Patrick Mahomes, for the Chiefs to win, needs to have numbers of 26, 35, 331, 4 touchdowns, and a pick. Pacheco led the team with 82 yards on the ground, and Travis Kelce 81 yards through the air. The Chiefs get a big win right here, but I think this is a big win for the Jaguars because they could have sat there, took it in the chin. They were down 20-0, and they kept it close, at least within shouting distance, in a very hostile place to play. I think this is a learning experience for the Jaguars. Do you agree?
I do. Jacksonville is going to be good for within a few years. Right now, it's not their time. But for them to put up fights the way they have been when they went into Philadelphia, almost beat them. And then when they went into the team that was looking pretty good at the time, I almost called them San Diego Chargers, but the Chargers, they look like they're headed in the right direction. Hopefully, like the Bears, they can keep to this coach. What's his name? Doug Peterson. Hopefully, they keep him and they keep the same formula going and get a couple pieces over there. Because believe it or not, if they had better players on offense and defense, they would be in the chase. They would be right there for the division. They would be able to make the playoffs, but they're not making the playoffs this year. They're about like I would say next year that it would probably be a good shot for them to win the division because Tennessee, all they have is Derrick Henry, and that can only get you so far. But as far as Kansas City, I think that Kansas City needs to start putting some statement wins together. They can't have these slow wins. They can't have teams coming in like Jaguars or the Tennessee Titans coming in when they're the odds-on favorite by like 7 or 10 points, and just getting into these tight games. That's bad luck on the Kansas City Chiefs. Then it's the month of November as well. Like they got to start blowing teams out. Same thing goes for Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're not a team that to me is too scary. I know it sounds bad, but they're not a team that I'm looking at like, oh my God, it's the Chiefs. They do look beatable for the first time in a few years. So we'll see what happens with them.
It's a good thing for the rest of the NFL. It's a great thing.
It is,
especially for Randy's JETS.
Yep. I mean, that gives them an opportunity to move up in the rankings. Had they, who knows? Maybe the Chiefs take another loss or two here before it's over. That will take us to a disappointing team. Obviously, a team that had playoff aspirations, but because of a guy, speaking of buttholes, it couldn't get enough of his butthole being tickled or forcing himself on poor masseuses, allegedly. The Cleveland Browns fall to 3-6, and look, I'll give credit where credit's due on this one. The Miami Dolphins are now 7-3. They've won 4 straight after losing 3 straight. And when you have an opponent like this, which is either has injuries or without their star quarterback, you need to beat them like this to look good and to be legitimate. And I think the Dolphins did. They did what they had to do. They scored 39 points to Cleveland 17. Jacoby Brissett, 22 of 35, 212, a touchdown and a pick. But this game was never close. Chubb, if you notice, the Cleveland Browns numbers have been going down steadily week after week. Although Watson will be eligible to play, I believe, after this week. So we'll see what happens there. Donovan Peoples-Jones, 5 for 99 through the air for Cleveland. So not much to talk about there. They were getting blown out. But Tua Tagovailoa, who I've been wrong on, continues to shine. Outside of Mark Brunell, Mike Vick, and Steve Young, I really don't know of any other good left-handed quarterbacks in my time of watching football. Usually they suck. And I thought Tua Tagovailoa was going to be falling into that.
What about Tim Tebow?
Again, I only know of those three.
All he did was win when he stepped on the football field.
Well, you know what's funny about Tebow is ESPN just could not get enough of him, sucking him off, and boy, oh boy, what happened to him after that? Because everything was Tebow. But Tua, 25 of 32, 285, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Jeff Wilson, the former Niner running back, along with Mostert, the former Niner running back, rushed for almost 200 yards together. Let's see, Jalen Waddle, 4 for 66. Tyreek Hill was a little banged up in this game, 5 for 44 and a touchdown, but they didn't need him this game. He didn't have his 20 catches in this game. Dolphins roll, man. Thoughts on the Dolphins?
Hey, the Dolphins are just a better team. I thought it was going to be a trap game when I picked them last week.
Do they have better players?
Huh? No, yeah. The Dolphins got a better team, better roster, better record, better coaching staff.
Papa John.
No, but it is what it is, bro. The reason I picked the Browns is because I thought it was going to be a trap game last week. But I'll tell you what, Kevin Stefanski, he's basically Minnesota groomed from the early tens and into the teens, bro. He carried the Adrian Peterson formula to Cleveland, and that's not going to get it done, bro. Like he's gonna even when they get Deshaun Watson, you can see the style of play that he's going to put out for his team to follow. Mm-hmm. And it's not a winning formula, bro. It's just like they're relying so much on run. It's not the 90s no more. He's carrying that not Brad Childress, but Mike Zimmer style with them, bro. Like run the ball as much as you can. Hopefully you get into these dogfight games and at the end get away with the game-winning field goal. It's not going to work out that way, bro, especially against teams like Kansas City or Miami or like even Buffalo. Like it's just not going to work out. They lost a few close games, but, bro, they're not going to go nowhere. Kevin Stefanski, even with Watson, like I said, Kevin Stefanski is going to be the reason they hold him back. That he holds the team back. They had a nice little team. I forgot all about Amari Cooper, bro. Honestly, you said Donovan Peoples-Jones, but I forgot all about Njoku. Like they're getting away from the passing game. Maybe when Watson comes back, they might open it up a little bit more, but I doubt it, bro. I know how that system works, and it's going to be run, pass, and that's all. That they're not going to make it that far, bro. Yeah. Kevin Stefanski will probably be out of Cleveland within the next year. He'll be on the hot seat for sure.
Quarterbacks and coaches don't last long in Cleveland, at least this new Cleveland Browns team. So I'll move on right now. This will get me to my second, good loss team. And, it's hard to say, but you give them points for the loss, and that was the Houston Texans. Houston Texans take a loss in hostile New York against the Giants, who now go to 7-2. Again, a no-name New York Giants outside of Saquon Barkley are 7-2. It's kind of hard to believe, but the Houston Texans are 1-7-1 and pretty much have not been blown out except, I think, one game. Other than that, they've been in every football game and playing very hard-nosed, tough football. And they stayed in this game all the way into the fourth quarter before the Giants put a double-digit points on them before, they kicked a meaningless field goal at the end. But David Mills, 22 of 37, by far one of his best games, 319 through the air, touchdown and a pick. If you don't have Dameon Pierce this year, try to get him next year. I think he's a star in the making there for the Texans. 17 carries, 94 yards, again, with a very mediocre offensive line, might add. Jordan Akins, 3 for 72 through the air. Daniel Jones only had to throw the ball 17 times, but he connected 13 times for 2 touchdowns and no picks. Saquon Barkley is going to most likely be your comeback player of the year. He had 35 carries, 152 yards, and a touchdown. And Darius Slayton, 3 catches for 95 yards. Good win for the Giants? Good loss for the Texans, you think?
I think that it was predictable at best. I think for the Texans, well, you can't even say that they're trying to work their way up into the draft because, well, no, they are because Cleveland is a team that gave them all those draft picks. Cleveland's having a bad year and Houston's having a bad year, so Houston's going to have a whole lot of draft picks in the first round pick. Well, not a whole lot, but they're going to have some really good draft picks in the first round. I want to say they're going to have 2 top 15 picks in the first round pick, and this is a quarterback heavy year. Going into the draft, so there's going to be teams that are thirsty for a franchise quarterback or a really good rookie quarterback, and they'll be smart to get a few more picks for those first round picks and start stockpiling on their draft on their team. The Houston Texans will, but as far as like the New York Giants, bro, I don't know how to take them. I don't know if I should take them serious or not. Minnesota has them on the schedule in a few weeks, but I just don't know about the New York Giants, bro. Like I can't take them serious because they've been bad for so long. And like when they win, they get into these tight, close games with bad teams, and it's just a bad look for them. And then you also have to worry about Saquon Barkley. Is he going to be healthy in time for the playoffs? It's just I don't know. And then Daniel Jones, I don't know, bro. I'm not convinced with the New York Giants to really be all that good. I think that they'll be a one and done in the playoffs if they make the playoffs.
We'll see. They're definitely going to be a tough out, though. I don't think they're going to be an easy out. They're a team where you're not going to blow them out, and they're not going to blow you out. So you're going to be in a dogfight with them. So we'll see. They're definitely an interesting team to look at come playoff time. But we'll see. And like I said, the Giants did what they had to do. But the Houston Texans, I think, coaching staff, what's his name over there? The former
Lovey
Bears.
Smith.
Yeah, Lovey Smith, I think, has got this team headed the right direction. I think the one win is not does not explain or does not defy what they are. I think they're a much better team. But like you said, with a great draft next year, this team could turn it around real fast.
And there's no I don't have the information. I haven't looked it up. I just thought about it, but I'm pretty sure that they're going to get rid of Brandon Cooks. They're going to try and trade him if possible and get more picks for him. But then you also have to look at all the money that they're going to have for free agency, bro. Like Houston might be a really good team next year. They look really bad right now, but are they doing it on purpose because of like how Cleveland, like all the picks that they're going to get from Cleveland and all that? Like I don't know. It's just too much to get into, but Houston in a year's time with Lovey Smith, like I told you a few weeks ago, that as long as Lovey Smith stays in the building, look what he did with Chicago. He took the Bears to the playoffs and into the Super Bowl actually. And then in the AFC South, honestly, that like in a few years when Derrick Henry starts slowing down, that could be the team that runs that division with Lovey Smith and the draft picks. The way that team could get built in a few years, within the next 3 years, Houston could be a team that demands a lot of attention.
Yeah, they could very well be. I totally agree. Now, this will move us on to the Who Gives a Fuck game of the week, and that was I watched like 2 plays of this game. Pittsburgh Steelers go to 3-6. They improved to 3-6. The Saints get a disappointing loss. I picked the Saints in this one. I thought the Saints were going to get. I said I'd pick them one more time, give them one last chance, and no. Andy Dalton does Andy Dalton things, which is lose. He sucks. I don't trust redheaded quarterbacks. 2 of them are in the league right now. Call me ginger racist, but I go that way because I don't like Carson Wentz, and I sure as hell don't like Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton, 17 for 27, 174 yards, a touchdown, and 2 Andy Daltons. Alvin Kamara only rushed 8 times for 26 yards. Juwan Johnson, 5 for 44. Saints' anemic offense against a predictable Pittsburgh Steelers defense was pathetic. They did absolutely nothing in the second half. Cody Pickett went 18 of 30, 199 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Najee Harris was the star, 20 for 99 on the ground. Pittsburgh wins by 10. Nothing else for me to say.
Not really much for me to say other than a sheer disappointment from both teams. Mike Tomlin, I think you said last week, was thinking about leaving the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's just so funny to me that now that look, this is a trend, dude. It's a trend for me that I'm starting to pick up on, and I'm starting to track it really well, dude. Like Sean Payton magically leaves the New Orleans Saints when Drew Brees retires. What's up with that? Nobody's pointing a finger at Drew Brees was actually the reason why Sean Payton got so much success in the NFL, and now Roethlisberger leaves Pittsburgh, and now Mike Tomlin wants to backpedal and get out of Pittsburgh before his resume starts getting damaged. Like, dude, that's pathetic and that's phony. And now Sean Payton, I know that I'm supposed to be talking about the Steelers and the Saints, but now Sean Payton wants to come back into the NFL and he wants to go to a good weather team, like a team that has good weather, and they have to have a good quarterback. Like, I wonder why. Because a good quarterback can just audible out of the shitbag play that he's calling. Sean Payton is overrated in my eyes, and so is Mike Tomlin. And Mike Tomlin does that move, bro. It wasn't Mike Tomlin that was having all that success. He had parts. He was partially responsible for that credit, but I'll give all the respect to Ben Roethlisberger, because Roethlisberger was in the pocket making all the plays happen. I don't know, bro. Even Bill Cowher. Bill Cowher was probably a better coach than Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin better get his quarterback situation set up and be able to establish a quarterback in the right direction. Otherwise, his whole entire time in Pittsburgh was just he was a sidekick to Roethlisberger. He better not pull that move, bro. He better not pull that move.
I hope he doesn't, because I think he's a good enough coach to continue the winning tradition in Pittsburgh. I really do. As far as Sean Payton's concerned, I predict he's going to the Colts, and I think he's going to ride the shirt tails of Aaron Rodgers in Indy next year, or a really good draft pick. Yeah, shocking indeed.
I'll give Lovie Smith more credit than I do Sean Payton at this point, bro. I'll give Lovie Smith a lot more love and more respect than Sean Payton. Even though Sean Payton's got that cheap ass Super Bowl that they cheated against Minnesota and the Colts, I'm not buying Sean Payton as a good coach.
Yeah, I agree. Randy says I'm gingerphobic, so whatever.
You're gingerphobic?
If I am, I am.
I'm going to call you Gingerella.
Shut up. Next game is my former quarterback, and I'm loving this as much as I'm loving my Seahawks winning. Denver falls to 3-6 after all those Bronco fans that I knew a few of them, but once the Broncos got Russell Wilson, I knew a lot more of them came out of the woodworks, including a lot of females saying, ha, 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 thank you for Russell Wilson, ignoring the fact what they gave up, number one, and number two, thinking that Russell Wilson was just going to take them into the Super Bowl like Primetime ESPN and all those other channels that put them in primetime games thought. But Denver goes into Tennessee. We knew this was going to be a tough game, and we knew the Titans' defense is legit. We knew that no matter who started for the Tennessee Titans, they were going to run the ball heavy, and they did in this game. Russell Wilson went 21 of 42, 286, a touchdown and a pick. He was sacked 6 more times. He was hit 15 times in this game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Carlos, but didn't the Broncos tweet out, you won't get hit like you got hit in Seattle, right?
Dude, I don't pay attention to the Broncos. Dude, even if they had a really good season, I wouldn't care about the Broncos. But I'm laughing right now a lot because of what Randy said in the comments. He said, damn, Sean Payton getting straight disrespected. That was from the old little segment that we just had. But, yeah, the Broncos, dude, yeah, you're right. They tweeted out that Russell Wilson was going to get protected. And then Russell Wilson coming out here with his let's ride, Broncos. And then doing his acrobatic exercises on the airplane.
Oh, yeah. His cringeworthy, the upside down sandwich. Shut the fuck up.
Everybody's calling Russell Wilson an awkward figure, and I'm on board with that one too, bro.
Exactly, and then it doesn't help that he gets rushing stats like this. Melvin Gordon, 7 rushes for 24 yards. Latavius Murray, 9 for 24. And he throws one to Jalen Virgil. I don't know if he saw. I'm following Russell Wilson to troll this guy. Surprise, surprise. But Jalen Virgil makes his first NFL catch, and it's a touchdown, 66 yards and a touchdown. What does Russell Wilson tweet? The picture of him making that touchdown grab saying, there's many more coming to you, big dog.
Big dog?
Yeah, he called him big dog.
Oh, man, the only thing I could have made it a better caption is baby dog. But Russell Wilson is just awkward, bro. Like, his personality is starting to shine a lot more, and people are going to start figuring out that this guy is really weird, man.
Yep, exactly. So they only put up 10 points, and all 10 points were in the second quarter. And that touchdown that I just described by Virgil, the rookie, was blown coverage. So it's not like he threw a perfect dime on a strike and, or there was a Justin Jefferson catch or a Devontae Adams catch and run. No, this was a blown coverage. That's the only reason why the Broncos scored a touchdown. Otherwise, no points in the first, none in the third, and none in the fourth. Ryan Tannehill, 19 of 36, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Derrick Henry didn't really do too much, 19 for 53. Nick Westbrook, Heinreen, or whatever his name is, 5 catches, 119 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Tennessee Titans. Titans win 17-10. Stick a fork in the Broncos, baby. They're done. And keep losing for those draft picks.
Hey, Denver's riding backwards. They put it. They put that car. They went from dry and neutral, bro. They were always stuck in. They were stuck in neutral with some spare tires, some donuts and some spare tires, and they just had it in neutral. And Russell Wilson was back there, baby pushing it. They just put it in reverse and they ran Russell Wilson right over, bro. That's what they're riding to. They're riding backwards.
They are, dude. I mean, that team is just falling apart, dude. And I think it's funny because a lot of people are like, no, there's no way that they're going to get rid of that coach, But now it's like, man, I can easily see them firing that coach.
Nathaniel Hackett?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy was a product of Aaron Rodgers, bro. Like, it's just like Josh McDaniels, a product of Bill Belichick. Like, it's just crazy the way football works, man. Like, people start glooming over the facts, like, oh, this guy got a winning record, but they ignore how that winning is done. Like, I'll get back to Sean Payton, and it sounds like I'm trolling him, and I do hate that dude Sean Payton because he was the one that was responsible. He always trolled the bike, and so fuck Sean Payton. Sean Payton was a product of Drew Brees. He was nothing before Drew Brees, Mike Tomlin, nothing before and after Roethlisberger. and now Nathaniel Hackett without Aaron Rodgers isn't getting the job done, and then Josh. The list goes on and on and on. But yeah, man, I think that they should get rid of that coach.
Exactly, and we'll see what happens moving forward with Denver. They're definitely the league's dumpster fire. That moves us on to a team that still could be a dumpster fire. We don't know. It's only one game, and it's against the Raiders. But the Indianapolis Colts go to 4-5-1, an interesting team with a lot of storylines all year. It started out with Jonathan Taylor being a guy that was washed up as far as everyone's number one pick in fantasy, like you described. And the Colts benching their quarterback, going with an inexperienced quarterback over Matt Ryan, Matty Ice. Now, again, before I preference what happened, I got really sick of Bill Cowher and him talking shit about and trying to make this into a race issue. There was Shannon Sharp. There was a lot of guys who went on and was just saying this is a bad move by the Colts. But I'll say it again. The league is ownership-based. You can hire and fire whoever the hell you want. You could do the Rooney Rule, exploit it all you want. The Rooney Rule was taken out, so it's not even in the league anymore. And this was not a full-time hire. This was, hey, I know Jets Saturday for 20 years. He showed coaching capabilities. We almost hired him on the coaching staff before the season. And they gave a guy a chance. When I watched bits and pieces of that game, and especially when they showed the highlights, it didn't look like the other coaches were hating on Saturday. Seemed like the team bit into whatever he threw out there during the week. Yes, it's against the Raiders. Yes, I got to see them win more games. But the fact of the matter is Matt Ryan was reestablished as your starting quarterback. He went 21-28, 222 and a touchdown, no picks. He was only sacked one time. So you brought a offensive lineman with experience, a Hall of Famer, in to try to get the offensive line fixed. And lo and behold, he only gets sacked one time, the best all year. That's his best game all year. Then Jonathan Taylor, a guy we've shitted on this page way too much, came out and had 22 carries for 147 yards. Is that a coincidence?
No, I think that's all Jeff Saturday.
And then Paris Campbell came out and had 7 catches, 76 yards. Real quick, Derek Carr, 24 of 38. He was crying his eyeliner makeup down his face.
Oh. Man, dude, did you see? Hold on. You brought Derek Carr up, and instantly I went to his post-game interview or whenever it happened, bro. Did you hear how he was crying over this team? Yeah, nobody sees this team. The hard work that was. Man, bullshit, motherfucker. Every player in the NFL does the same thing. Just because you're having a shitbag ass fucking season, you haven't been a good. I should backstep on that one. I should backpedal because it's the head coach, bro. It really is the head coach. But for him to come out and start crying like that, bro, you know how I feel about these thin-skinned players. Like get out of here with all that crap, bro. I'm not trying to hear Derek Carr crying about how this is tough. Like he's mentally breaking down, bro. Like he needs a mental break. He needs to go and take a year or two off from the NFL. He needs to take the Andrew Luck route. Then if he can't take hard criticism, which comes with the job, then he's not meant for that, bro. Because what's going to happen if they end up losing a few more games and they start rallying him for that? Like, dude, I don't want to hear that crap. Forget the Raiders. I mean,
yeah, you know what? And I don't feel any sympathy for any of these teams. Even if this was my team doing this shit, I would say, you know what? It's too bad we're not back in old school. And I'll say it right now. When you had shit like this happen to other teams, they would say, you know what? No Monday day off. We're going right back to work. We're doing film study. We're doing extra pad practice. And you man up and you work your ass off hard to get to the next week and redeem yourself. These teams, these players don't know that kind of mentality. They are babied way too much. Then you have little temper tantrums by Captain Eyeliner, and you have temper tantrums by Devontae Adams. Dick, you're already talking about possibly wanting to be traded on your social media. It's like you just got there, dude. You knew what you were getting into going to the Raiders, and you know what? You just got to suck it up. And if you're such a leader, and stop bitching on social media, start bitching in the locker room. Make players be accountable. I am so tired of this. Like you said, these players are so coddled, and so I mean,
it's a day and age of social media. That's what it is, because now you're more successful. You have more success and more like you could like you literally right here. Where's my phone at? That right there, wherever my phone's at. Oh, I got it right here in front of me. Dumbass moment. But you can just have one of these right, one of these phones right here, and your emotions come out. You got social network, you got Twitter, you got everything you can possibly think of. You got YouTube, you can make videos, you can make anything you possibly. It's just that day and age, man. It doesn't matter what sport. what sport it is, bro. Like people are making podcasts. Everybody's got a podcast in sports now, and everybody's crying everywhere that they go. Even Tom Brady, like it's just a day and age, bro. But it's just like when you start showing the weak sides like that, it just shows that this guy isn't a true leader. So that could also be a positive to look at it that way. That this guy is not ready for the big moments.
Yeah, the whole team isn't ready for the big moments. Like you said, Josh McDaniels is a proven loser, and all of a sudden, Mark Davis with that bowl haircut came out and said, "Oh, I still got the confidence in him. He's going to last another year." It's like, what are you watching?
Well, let him. That's one less team that's gonna be a challenge for either one of our teams to win the Super Bowl. Yeah. That's automatically they're eliminated from the playoffs for the next however many years McDaniels is there.
Exactly, because he's going to be a 3-time loser as a coach. Jaden and Justin Video says, "Yo," he says, "Packers is live. What is up, Justin?" And
yeah, Jaden, what's going on, boy? Yeah. I might get to that after. Well, we got predictions after this show too, so I'll probably miss the stream.
Hey, he came in at the right time because the next game we're talking about happens to be his Green Bay Packers defeating the Cowboys. The Packers go to 4-6, breaking a 5-game losing streak, which is hard to say in itself. Dallas came in here with all the hype, and everyone just like loving him. Michael Irvin was wearing a special suit, his special plaid suit. He thought the Cowboys were going to roll the Packers, and it looked bad. And then here's the thing. I'm going to tell you right off the bat before I get into the stats. Dak Prescott in the media by a few other guys like Ryan Clark were saying the Cowboys, Mike McCarthy screwed, and the offensive coordinator, I think Kellen Moore, screwed over Dak in this game by not calling more run plays. It's like, well, if you're running the ball good against the Packers, I could see that. But they really weren't running the ball good at all. With the exception of Pollard, the Packers came back and started to hamper down on the Cowboy running game, and they forced Dak to throw, and the Cowboys didn't do anything, and the Packers got 17 in the fourth and overtime. Pollard did have 22 for 115. Dak went 27 of 46, 265, but 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Those 2 picks hurt him. CeeDee Lamb had a great game, 11 for 150. Aaron Rodgers, 14 for 20, 224, 3 touchdowns, no picks, very efficient. Aaron Jones was a superstar in this game, along with Dylan, almost 200 yards combined rushing for those two. And Christian Watson had the game of his life, 4 catches, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. So thoughts on the Packers' big win against the Cowboys? Did they save their season, and did this make the Cowboys look a little weak?
No, I didn't say Green Bay season. I think this game had a lot of emotions to it. Mike McCarthy coming back to town to Green Bay, so that had a lot of these players in Green Bay were underneath Mike McCarthy's coaching regime, and I think that fueled those players to play a lot better than what they're capable of. It's almost like when a car has been on empty and gets a full tank of gas, bro. That's basically now it's full of energy. They use Mike McCarthy coming back to Green Bay as motivation. I don't think it's not gonna save their season, bro. I think that they may beat the Tennessee Titans, but I can see them getting into a slow game and creeping away with like a sluggish win or whatever. But no, I don't think that Green Bay's gonna. I don't even think they're gonna make the playoffs, bro. I think Chicago's gonna be second place. If you really want the truth out of me, Chicago's looking like a better team, more consistent, but. Yeah, man. Dallas, they had the lead 28-14, and then they let it go. They didn't take care of the ball. It's just classic Mike McCarthy, bro. Classic Mike McCarthy. Like, everywhere he's go, I know it's only been Green Bay and in Dallas, but it's just classic, bro. Mike McCarthy, he doesn't know how to take care of the lead. He's just a bad coach. He's a bad coach. He can beat up on the bad teams and all that, but even if a bad team like Green Bay threatens the lead, they're going to take it because Mike McCarthy doesn't have that installed in him. He doesn't have that alpha dog in him, bro. Like, and plus, you got Jerry Jones right behind Mike McCarthy's lazy eye telling them what to actually do. And then you got, I don't know, bro, I can just go on and on about the coaches. That's what I really look at when I look at the teams now. I don't look at the players. I look at the Minnesota Vikings. Last year, the same team as this year. Now we're looking better because of the coaches. It's the coaches, honestly. But I think that Dallas, they'll get back together and they'll make the playoffs. But Green Bay, no, they didn't save their season. No.
Okay, and I agree with that. I think also the Cowboys will, try to right the ship, but I think they might be in for another loss. Who knows? Maybe they were looking past the Packers towards the Vikings. Who knows? I don't see how you could because Green Bay is still a historic place to play. It's a big rivalry. But Minnesota, man, I mean, you got to now man up and get a win, turn a win in a division where the Eagles finally lost. It was an
Oh yeah.
opportunity to take advantage of that. Obviously, they didn't know that coming in, but they could have, taken advantage of a Philly loss. But now, Washington gets a little closer, and then you got the Giants now ahead of you. You chopped
Really,
up.
really quick. Sonia Oakley's in the chat.
Oh, Sonia, what's up, Sonia? I know her. She's from the Angels page.
Ah, nice to meet. Well, we didn't meet Sonia, but thanks for being in the show. Would you be able to help us out in getting a little bit of algorithm and hitting the like and subscribing, please? Please, I'll even put my 2 hands up, please.
Yeah.
It's begging right now. I'm just trying to get a little bit of help.
Sonia's awesome, by the way. She's really awesome.
I'll take your word for it.
That will move us on to a game here that obviously, you have two geniuses as coaches going head to head. And you also, I think, Sunglasses Cliff Kingsbury could have been a better starting quarterback than the Cardinals starting quarterback. And also Sean McVay could have went in there, put a helmet on, and been better than the Rams coach or quarterback. Because you had a quarterback starting duo now. Instead of Jared Goff versus the midget Kyler Murray, you had Colt McCoy versus John Wolford.
It's not Jared Goff. Jared Goff went to Detroit. It's Matthew Stafford. Remember?
Oh, there you go, Matt Stafford.
They're both the same, honestly. Goff and Stafford, honestly. One's slightly more mobile, but they're both the same in my eyes.
That's true. But the thing is, with Colt McCoy, I'm like, damn, that fool's still in the league. That was like 30 years ago when he was with Texas. But he went.
I remember when he was drafted by the Washington then Redskins.
Yeah. Well, before they went woke. But Colt McCoy went 26 of 37, 238 and a touchdown. And what happened to that Rams defense, man? 21 of 69. DeAndre Hopkins had 10 catches, 98 yards. The Cardinals go to 4-6. The Rams go to 3-6. Imagine being all them Rams fans that were bandwagoners, because I don't know if if you get a chance, if you haven't seen how much Rams tickets are at SoFi, check out Vivid Seats, check out freaking Game Time, Ticketmaster. Look, just the average ticket price for a Rams game, and think of all those fans that paid, no matter if they're bandwagoners or not. And they got a quarterback matchup of Colt McCoy, John Wolford. That's preseason football right there. And you saw that in week 10. John Wolford went 24 of 36, 212, a touchdown and a pick. Cam Akers with that stellar Rams running game. And Darnell Henderson combined for 12 carries and 42 yards rushing.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I don't know if they regret saying what they said or did what they did, bro. But them by them getting rid of all their draft picks for that one Super Bowl, bro. I don't know if it was worth it. I think they were already headed in the right direction, but they were just thirsty, bro. They were just thirsty. Now Sean McVay might actually. It's just something with these coaches, bro. Like when things get bad, they don't want to hang through, and then they don't want to rebuild. Like I don't know. It's instant success. I guess that's the time we're living in. But the Rams, they messed up by getting rid of all their draft picks. I don't know when or how they're going to get better when their money's going to be absorbed by Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald might even retire. Now that I think about it, Sean McVay, he's been wanting to do TV casts. Like, who knows what the Rams are going to look like next year, bro? Like, and then the Cardinals, you also got to look at Cliff Kingsbury. Sunglasses is going to be gone, and they're tied to the hip with Kyler Murray, and Kyler Murray's not an alpha dog. He also has thin skin, and then DeAndre Hopkins might not be there either because Kyler Murray was throwing him under the bus a few weeks ago. And it's just crazy. They don't have a run game. That was just a bad game. That one right for me. That was a who gives a fuck game of the week right there. At least the Saints and the Steelers got some decent players, and they got quarterbacks that you can pay attention to, and you know they're going to be there for a while, like Pickett. But the Rams and the Cardinals are just an absolute disaster. That's a dumpster fire right there, bro. Both those teams are just ass.
It's a dumpster fire filled with talent. That's what's crazy. I mean, the Rams. Again, I think what they did was they sold their soul to the devil. They wanted that one Super Bowl ring. They jacked up the price on their freaking salary cap. They got rid of their draft, like you said, and they said, fuck the future. We want to win now. The refs helped them out, honestly, in that 49er game, and I'm not a 49er fan the least, but I rather would have seen the Niners get there legitimately. It did not feel legitimate for the Rams. And then in the Super Bowl, we've said it before, there was more Bengals fans there at their home stadium in L.A. than there was Rams fans, because there are no Rams fans. And they literally won that Super Bowl by non-calls. So it was very disappointing. I think they sold their soul to the NFL devil, and they're reaping the rewards of them doing that, and they're going to reap it. And I think you're right, as McVay he has too big of an ego. He is not going to do a rebuild. That guy is an asshole. He's not going to do a rebuild whatsoever. he will probably leave before he stays. So I'm looking forward to it. The way the Rams are crashing and burning, I'm loving it. I'm like McDonald's right now.
Randy said, getting rid of all your draft picks is stupid. It just tells me you can't effing coach unless you have stars. You can't coach up. You can't develop players. That's what he's saying. Players from the ground up. You need established players, exactly. And it doesn't work like that. Now, like you just said, they got rid of all their future picks, and they said, F the future. You want to win now. Well, the future's now. What are you going to do now? You can't go by that same slogan. You can't go by that same slogan that you just built last year. Forget the future. The future is now.
But they don't get it, do they?
No, time flies. They don't understand it.
Exactly. Well, enough of that. Who gives a fuck game of the week? Let's move on to the last two games, which is the primetime games. The Chargers were at San Francisco. We talked about this earlier. The Chargers were picked to get blown out in this game because of injuries. And the Niners are already being elevated as a superstar team. But sometimes, like my girl told me and has said, she's a big Niner fan, but sometimes they get in their own way. They make stupid throws. And, well, there was a few of those getting in the ways where early on it looked like the Chargers were going to take them. But kudos to the Niner defense. In the second half, they did not allow a point. They scored 12 unanswered and beat the Chargers 22-16. Justin Herbert, 21 of 35. 196, very disappointing second half. They did nothing in the second half. They couldn't run the ball. The Niners defense was really good. The Austin Eckler rushed for only 24 yards. That was the key. Deontay Carter only had 4 catches for 64 yards, but they were minus their 2 best receivers. Jimmy Garoppolo, 19 of 28, 240, no touchdowns and no picks. He continues to just do whatever it takes to get the W. Elijah Mitchell had 18 carries for 89 yards, which was kind of surprising. They went away from McCaffrey, but McCaffrey was 14 for 38. And Brandon Ayuk had a nice catch in this game and run 6 for 84 through the air. Thoughts on the Niners' Sunday night victory over the Chargers?
Before we get to that one, I wanted to read the comments. Sonia's asking, not sure, and I'm pretty sure we're going to cover this on the next show that we're going to do. But she's asking, not sure if we got to the Commanders yet, but who do we think is going to be the starter this upcoming Sunday, Wentz or Heineke? I hope she's saying she wants the Commanders to stay with Heineke. He has earned it, especially beating the Eagles. I agree 100%. And then Randy follows it up with what we were just talking about with the Rams. But he serves a great point. He says, what happens when contracts come up? Now you can't afford them all. Speaking about the Rams. And you have no draft picks, so they're screwed. You know what's going to end up happening? I don't know if you can see me on screen right now. I don't know if it's me or Todd, but this is what's going to end up happening once that time comes, Randy. You know what Sean McVay's going to do? He's going to put his hands up, and he's going to wave the Rams goodbye. He's just going to walk away from that disaster, and he's just going to say, that's your problem. That sounds like a you problem, not a me problem. That's what he's going to say.
He's like, I got to make some more Campbell's commercials.
Yeah, tell me about it. And then Randy says Wentz is done in Washington. All right, now get into the 49ers and the Chargers game. Remember when I told you Brandon Staley was the reason I picked against the Chargers? Well, it's going to stay that way. Brandon Staley, he had a chance of making himself playoffs last year, but he ruined that last year in the last game of the season. Brandon Staley is one of those coaches that he could be so much better, bro. He could be so much better, and he's got the talented team. Like, that team is so stacked, like, from top to bottom. Doesn't matter if a few of their stars are injured. They got a stacked team. It's just he can't put it together, and his time is going to run out pretty soon. He's going to be another one that gets let go within the next 2 years. The Chargers should have won that game, but because it's Brandon Staley, they lost, bro. The 49ers, Christian McCaffrey not putting up big numbers in his 3rd or 4th week with the 49ers is kind of eye-opening, because you would think that they would be able to use Christian McCaffrey a lot better than former running backs that they had, like Jeff Wilson, I want to say, is still with the 49ers, right?
Yes,
or is he with there was one that went to the Dolphins. I don't know. They scrambled through.
Oh, no, Wilson's with the Dolphins with Mostert.
Yeah, Wilson looked pretty good with the 49ers. So did Raheem Mostert, but Christian McCaffrey looks like he's not as good as those other running backs, And then George Kittle's kind of hit or miss from week to week. He's injury prone. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of either one of these teams. I think that in the long run, if you were to ask me who the better team was in the long run, I'm going to go with the 49ers because they've established the respect and all that. Brandon Staley's more of a goofball, bro.
Well, and here's the thing, dude. When we talked about draft picks, I think the Rams are going to offer a 3rd-round pick it was either a 3rd or a 4th to the Panthers to get McCaffrey before the Niners did. But the Niners offered that pick because they had it. and the Rams didn't have it. So, and those were not, yeah. So that's what's, yeah. Look, this team's going to be picking off the street pretty soon. Waiting for those contracts to expire, or they're going to try to trade those players with a high. I mean, they're going to wind up taking a lot of heat for this. So,
too bad they gave all that money to Matthew Stafford, huh? Because Aaron Rodgers would look nice in L.A. with the Rams jersey on, huh? Or Tom Brady.
He sure would. All right, so let's move on to the final game. What is it of the
Week 10?
Yeah, Week 10 right here. And this one was a surprise to most, but not to me, you, and Randy. I think Randy picked the Woke as well.
Yeah.
There's something different with this team, and going to what Sonia was saying. The Eagles, to me, again, when you stacked up the Eagles being undefeated before this game and the Vikings going into Buffalo, obviously that game was, even if the Eagles win this game, is not impressive to me as much as the Vikings getting that victory in a tough, hostile Super Bowl contending team's home field.
MVP as well.
Absolutely. That was by far the most impressive game in how they won it. I mean, we didn't even talk about Josh Allen fumbling in his own end zone when he should have maybe taken a knee. Maybe you take a safety. Maybe you trust your defense.
See, but the thing about if he would have taken a knee, did you see how Justin Jefferson was having his way with the DBs? And then we would have only needed a field goal, so they were in a real tough spot right there. It's like pick your poison.
That was the effect, but see, like when them taking that snap, the risk was the touchdown. I would have went with a safety and said, hey, you know what? Let's trust our defense and let's see if this can be a Super Bowl win. I would have much rather lost on a last-second field goal than the way that they would have lost. And credit, Allen getting them into field goal range. I didn't think they were against that Vikings defense. So hell of a game. But I know we circled back to that one because I forgot about that play. But this Washington team, I think played inspired because, look, when I lost my mom to cancer, a lot of people have lost people to cancer. I hate saying the C word. It's a sucky word. And, they were playing with emotion right there. They wanted that victory for their coach. And Rivera, despite what people think about him sometimes, I didn't like what he did with the defensive coordinator in the offseason, throwing him under the bus for a stupid comment that wasn't, it was political, but it shouldn't have been, whatever. But I do respect him as a football coach. He's been a really good football coach. A lot of people love him. He's had to overcome cancer himself. The team was playing really hard for him, you could tell. And I don't like redheaded quarterbacks. I said that earlier. Carson Wentz is the C word to football. And he wherever he goes, bad things happen. And you saw what happened when he wasn't the quarterback and Foles, of all people, is your Super Bowl winning quarterback. I don't think Carson Wentz wins in the playoffs. He has a terrible playoff track record with the Eagles. And he's been terrible with the Woke this year. But when Heineke gets in there, his favorite quarterback was Brett Favre, and you could see some of Brett Favre in him at times. And he's very competitive, the fist pumping, the running for first downs, not taking a knee, going head first into linebackers, talking shit with defensive ends. He's fun to watch, and he's got a hell of an arm. He doesn't have a Brett Favre arm, but he's accurate.
Oh, yeah, he does. Yes, he does. He takes big chances with Brett Favre. He throws that ball into double, triple team coverage. He doesn't care, but that's what makes him fun. You're like, oh, I can't believe he threw it. But once he starts putting it together and he starts getting the rhythm down and the time with the wide receivers, because he's only played 4 games, he's 3-1.
Yeah.
As a starter with Washington, there's no way that Washington, serving Sonia's point, there's no way that Washington goes back to Wentz. There's no way. And unless they want, unless Ron Rivera is done coaching, you stay with Taylor Heineke, because I'm speaking based on fantasy football. Even fantasy football, the numbers are starting to show big time with Curtis Samuel and Terry McLaurin, and the running game is actually starting to look pretty good because Taylor Heineke's got that. Like he plays just like Brett Favre. I've said it. I've talked to people about it. Like he plays just like Brett Favre. He wears his number. He idolizes Brett Favre. And man, he's the closest thing that we have to Brett Favre right now. Believe it or not, he's like a poor man's Brett Favre, but nonetheless, he plays just like Brett Favre.
He does, and I think the fact is too. With him in there, the offense, like you said, moves. So you have to respect the pass. You're not able to sit back there because I'll tell you this: Carson Wentz holds the ball worse than any quarterback in the league, and he doesn't seem to care to take hits and sacks. He fumbles a lot. He's a turnover machine, and I don't understand why he's gotten big contract after big contract, starting gig after starting gig. To me, he has to earn it back. And this is a good example of him riding the bench. And if he's going to save his career, he's got to put things together because, again, the better quarterback on that team by far is wearing number 4. And I think that the Woke can get into the postseason now at 5-5, getting they're right in the mix. They are right in the mix, and that defense is starting to get a little more healthy. And you know what? They played inspired football. There was times where Jalen Hurts went down the field and did what he wanted to, and then there was times where the Woke was like, nope. Then they shut him down. And so this was a good game to watch. It was very surprising, but Terry McLaurin had 8 catches, 128 yards. Heineke was 211 through the air. Jalen Hurts looked good, but the second half was ruled by the freaking Commanders, man.
Man, I know we're supposed to talk about the game, but this dude Randy, hey, we gotta put like a little filter on him where every time he comments, we can't read it because he throws me off, man. Look what he just commented. He said, "Hopefully, he doesn't commit welfare fraud after he retires." Dude, and then I was sitting here trying to listen to what you said, but like I glance over because I see the chat moving a little bit, and then I read his comments, and it throws me completely off. But no, man. I don't know if it was my turn to talk, but I wanted to give my insights on what I think Washington is doing, why they did the move with Carson Wentz, and it kind of makes sense. They didn't publicize it, but they brought in Carson. It didn't make sense originally, but right now it's starting to make sense. I hope this is what they actually intended to do. They actually gave Taylor Heineke that 3-year contract. I don't know for how much. It was like $68 million or so. I don't know what the numbers are, but they just signed him to like a 2 or 3 year deal, right? And when they brought Carson Wentz in, I think that was more of a, we're going to push your buttons and we're going to put you on the bench to see how bad you really want this job. Because we know we got you under contract. So you're going to sit on the bench. So when it's your time, we know what type of quarterback Carson Wentz is. So when it's time, it's for your time to come in and play for this team, you know that hunger is going to come out. And it worked. It worked picture perfect. Because not only did Carson Wentz have this team looking really bad, but Taylor Heineke's cleaning up the mess that Carson Wentz did. So that first round pick that they sent over to the Colts was well worth it at this point, I think, because Taylor Heineke is playing out of his mind. I love the way he plays, bro. He's fun. Even though he makes some boneheaded plays, bro, it comes with the territory, bro. Like, you got to accept it. Like, I appreciate a quarterback like Taylor Heineke. He's throwback. He's Brett Favre 2.0, baby.
Yeah, he is. And we'll see if he can make those plays moving forward, because, look, that's going to make that division outstanding. It's gonna, like, it already is. I mean, you look at it. I mean, Washington's last place, yet they're 5-5, and the entire division is playing for a playoff spot. That's good for football, but where there's one division that good, there's one division really bad. So we know where that one is. But now,
hold on. I haven't even talked about the Philadelphia Eagles. It's been all about Taylor Heineke. Like, this is a Taylor Heineke show. Let me put a little bit of touch on the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that they're starting to show signs of letdown, bro. I think that they peaked at the wrong time. Remember, it's always about what you do in November and December. You don't want to backpedal your way into the playoffs, even though they only have one loss. Like, yeah, that one loss is startling, bro. And then they should have lost to the Houston Texans. I know it's a coulda, woulda, shoulda type deal, but the Houston Texans kind of put a blueprint out there on how to beat the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, they struggled mightily against the Houston Texans, but that was Thursday Night Football, and then they had to wait not only one Sunday, but the next Sunday, and then the following Monday to finally play. So that kind of threw their whole entire schedule off. So I'm expecting Philadelphia to come back and have a bounce back game against whoever they're playing. I want to say the Colts. But I'm expecting Philadelphia to come back, and they should win that game pretty easily, you would think, against the – well, hold on. We're going to wait for the prediction, right? We're going to wait for the prediction. But the prediction part of the show, I'm getting ahead of myself. But, yeah, man, I think that the Philadelphia Eagles need to pick it up, man. They didn't look like themselves. That's all I got to say about them.
Okay. Well, I'm down for these games this week. We had a real down week. I think this week, this upcoming week 11, is going to be another either a carbon copy of this week, or it's going to be really good. I took a peek at the games moving forward for the prediction show, which we're going to end this stream and restart another one for the prediction. But I will say this: this week's games are very, very interesting, and they're going to be toss-ups. There's going to be a few of them that you're going to be like, damn, we're not all going to agree on these for sure. There's some games on here that are very evenly matched. Let's just say whether it's 2 losing teams or 2 winning teams. So we're going to go at that. And then you have a couple stinkers, but you always have a couple stinkers. But for that being said, let's cut this one short, dude, or cut it off right here. Good show, and we got the talked about some exciting highlights. By far, that Minnesota game was the game of the week, if not game of the year. We're hoping to see playoff games like that too, no matter who the matchups are.
Yeah, big time.
And I know you were. Look, if you haven't met Carlos or known him very long, I've known this guy for like damn near 25 years. He is a Vikings fan through and through, and he bleeds purple and gold. He does the skull thing. He does all that stuff. And if they were to win the Super Bowl this year, despite what I think of the Vikings, dude, there's no one I'm more happier for than my boy right here, Carlos, man, because he's definitely one of the more hardcore fans that you'll ever know. And if they get those Super Bowl win this year, you best believe he deserves it.
Tune into my YouTube channel. I will be going live. I'm just gonna put the phone down. I'll probably end up streaming the Super Bowl. I've been thinking about it. Like I'll put the phone down and I'll have it recording, like live streaming as the Super Bowl goes on. Because if the Vikings do win that Super Bowl, bro, like I don't know what I'm gonna go through, bro.
I think you'll live stream for 24 hours. I think you'll be so wired you won't sleep. You're gonna be like, you're just gonna be like streaming for 24 hours, no sleep, drinking, and just celebrating, dude.
I remember the game against the Commanders when they beat the Commanders, right? I was sitting in the living room and my girl, she was hesitant on asking me anything. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "Yeah." I was real shallow. I was real kind of like not in it. Like she was like, I don't know how to take you right now because it looks like you're really, really depressed and you don't want nobody to talk to you. Man, that was just me just accepting the fact that this team is finally like coming around the corner. And it was just like, and then I started thinking, I was like, if this team does get that Super Bowl, I don't know how I'm gonna react. I don't know how I'm gonna react. I know for a fact I'm probably gonna cry my ass off, bro, because for the longest, it's been like Minnesota Vikings can't get it done. And what better quarterback to do it? I know I've talked trash about Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins resembles a Minnesota Vikings history. Nobody wants to accept Kirk Cousins because he's this nerd. He's the elephant in the room. He does all these clumsy mistakes. Minnesota's choked in the playoffs, choked in the NFC Championship game, choked in the Super Bowl. Kirk Cousins has a choking primetime record. He is the perfect quarterback to lead this franchise into the first Super Bowl, bro. It just makes too much sense, man. Makes too much sense. But man, if the Vikings do make, even if they win the Super Bowl, bro, I'll break down and cry, bro. Like I don't know what's gonna happen, bro. I might go streaking. I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, that's what happened with me. When that first Super Bowl, it's an unimaginable feeling, and I think for the two fan bases that played this last week between the Vikings and Bills, very similar past in history. So a lot of playoff letdowns, 4 Super Bowl losses. One of you guys has got to get off the schneid. And I'm pulling for you guys to do that as well this year. If it's not the Bills, if it's not the Vikings, one of those teams I'm pulling for to win the Super Bowl.
Man, hopefully it's us.
Yep, absolutely. All right, Carlos. Well, that's it for Out of Bounds, the highlight show. Stay tuned. We're going to jump on real quick because we didn't do it. I wasn't around yesterday. I had some family come in. We usually do this highlight show on Tuesdays, and then we save Wednesdays for a prediction show. So if you've stayed with us this long, we're going to go on the prediction show right after this.